Hi, this is Terence. I'm here to show you how to set up your foil assist. So first you start off by installing your mast like you normally do. But before you do that, you need to install these M6 T-nuts. So they come pre-installed out of the screw box for convenience. You slide them to the rear, like so. It's for your V cable holder, which I'll show you in a second. And then you install your M8 T-nuts and screws. They also come pre-installed out of the screw box. Slide two in the front, two in the rear. And also inside the screw box, we have longer screws, just in case you have a board with deeper tracks. So next, you place the mast on top of your board. Slide the screws onto the top plate. And then you use your Torx key to tighten the screws. The beauty about this Torx key is compact, so there's less chance of it hitting your mast. I'll tighten all of them up about 90%, just to keep it level. And then you crank them down one by one. So now that you have your mast on, it's time to install the V cable fastener. So to do so, you have to make sure the cable is flat, and then you place the V cable fastener, the big hose, over the screws, then you move it down. If you find that the protective hose is too far up, you can always move it down a little, gently, to give you enough space. Then you place the big hose over the screws, then just slide it a little to the small hose. Then you grab a Torx key, use an M6 head to tighten them down. You don't have to crank them up too hard because it's plastic. Just have to be snug and in place. Next, you have to install the fuselage adapter. This is a 3BS system. Place it into the mast. Then you place your foil on top. Grab the three longest screws in the screw box. These are the 50 millimeters, the three of them. Install them one by one. Use your Torx key. I do them about 90% as well. Then you can crank them down one by one. So next you install the motor bell and propeller. Check that the propellers are folding and folding freely. Also make sure there's no debris or sand or dust inside the motor bell. And also check that the stator is also clean, there's no sand on it. When you install it, be careful, there's a very strong magnet. So make sure your fingers are free from the edges or else you're going to get pinched. And also if you're holding onto the can, hold it firmly so you don't get cut by the sharp edges. So once it's on, it's always good to rotate it one time with your hand, just to make sure it's rolling smoothly. And also it's good to grab the little Torx key with the screw set, just to make sure these screws on near the motor are fastened, because they may loosen over time from the vibrations of the motor. Now that the mast is set up, it's time to put on the leash. When you open the rail saver, just be careful. There's a bungee cord here. And the whole reason for this bungee cord is make sure the cable is elevated, so there's no chance of it touching the propeller. If this bungee does come loose for whatever reason, you simply wrap it around your cable, like so, and just install it into the rail saver, like so. And now you install the rail saver into the leash plug strings. And you see on the midfish, there are two leash plugs for heavier loading. Then you close your rail saver. And this rail saver is not like a typical surf leash. It's made of heavy duty materials just to withstand heavier loading and for the foil assist. Once that's done, it should be combined into one unit. So the cable should be into the neoprene sleeve of the leash, and then the elastic webbing should be in the coils, string through the coils of the cable. So this is to make sure there's less chance of you getting tangled since it's one piece design. Now you have the cable and leash installed onto the board. It's time to install the cable and leash onto the battery box. So first you remove the caps off the connector, and you also remove the cap ring off the carabiner. This is also a very good reminder to make sure you put the carabiner on the harness. It's very important. The leash is shorter than the cable, so you want all the loading on your leash. If you forget the leash, all the loading is going to be on a cable, and it'll overextend and damage the internal cables. So once you have the leash on, it's time to put the connector into the battery box. Check that the connectors are clean. You see there's a notch on the connector and there's a recess on the battery box, only goes in one way. Make sure you lock it securely because to make sure it's a watertight seal. So now the cable is connected to the battery box. It's time to pair your remote to the system. So first you grab your remote, you make sure it's 100% fully charged. Then you remove the USB Type-C charging cable. Then you install your ring controller. Make sure there's an O-ring that provides the watertight seal. And also make sure the connector on your ring controller is clean. Then you install it into the watch. Only goes in one way. You see there's a flat section. Make sure you twist it tight to provide the waterproofness. And pay attention to the ring controller because it will turn only 180 degrees depending on which wrist you put it on. But don't overturn it as it will break and destroy the internal cables, causing malfunction. So now your watch remote is all set. It's time to install the batteries. Remove the caps. It's always good to use the caps to make sure the connectors are free of sand and it's clean. Open the neoprene cover. Slide the lock to the unlock position. If it gets stuck, it's always good to press down on the latch gently and it'll slide freely. Open the latch and then you can install your batteries. Before installing, check to make sure the battery level is at full. It's 4 lights, that's 100%. Make sure they're matching battery levels. It's not recommended to use a full battery and one that's not fully charged. You're gonna have a very short ride. So you install the batteries, only goes in one way. The logo is facing you. When you install it, you give it a little nudge to make sure the connectors are engaged. And then you turn on both batteries simultaneously by pressing the on button. You have to long press it until the light comes on. Then you hear a beep from the motor, and the beep will only come on if you have the motor bell. Once the power is on, you have to pair the system within 20 seconds. And by doing so, you long press on the remote. You feel the vibration until it shows pairing, like so, then you can let go. Once it's paired, you see the battery level being displayed. That means it's good to go. So once it's paired, it's good to give it a quick test to make sure everything is functioning properly. You see a lock sign here. That's a safety device, meaning that you have to double click it to engage the motor. So if you click it once by mistake, it's not going to activate. You have to double click it. So now they've tested the propeller and everything's working properly. For safety, it's always good to turn off the remote before you head into the water, as well as your batteries. And then when you're at the water, you just switch on the batteries again. You switch on your remote. You don't have to pair it again since it's already paired once. It connects automatically. And the most important thing is to make sure the seals on your battery box are clean and to lock the battery box properly. Make sure the latch is in the lock position. Then you zip up your neoprene case and you're good to go. Now this system is all set up, you're ready to enjoy the water.